So this is the patch that theoretically goes live tomorrow. It's in the beta Discord. It's been being tested. I haven't really looked over this in depth, but let's talk about some of these real quick. So all princes, princesses, and queen are now royal. This means Queen of Hearts is now a royal, and Romeo flips your frog prince. Is there any other queen? It also means frog prince flips your frog prince, right? Yeah, that's huge. Wait. Pairing Lonely Prince at level 2 is actually good now. Evil Queen. Princess White's already a princess. In the beta, they didn't flip themselves. Oh, okay. Yeah, even if this is just like Romeo and Queen of Hearts, flip Lonely Prince, that gives you a lot more hits to transform. Yeah. If this doesn't impact level 2 at all, I kind of like this change. I don't know how I feel about Lonely Princess flipping Lonely Princes. I think that makes like a pretty high upside to even higher upside. Or reduces the downside of a pretty high upside level 2. Don't want to think about the other... Yeah. Burning Tree. Well, we haven't gotten there yet. So they're renaming all the kings to make them not confusing. This is something people have clamored for a while. Weird that like Oni King, Storm King, and Pumpkin King don't have like the king type when there's a queen type. So instead they are Oni Tyrant, Scion of the Storm, and the Great Pumpkin. Prince Arthur no longer needs to be a prince, and is now just a royal King Arthur. Copycat gets Mage. This is pretty big for 9th Book of Merlin builds. Right now, it feels pretty bad to fit in a Copycat, even when you're putting 2 mages behind it. Because while you're going to cast 2 spells when the Copycat attacks, the Copycat has to attack to cast those spells, and the Copycat itself isn't triggering your 9th Book. So you're like losing a spell proc to gain a spell proc, and the Copycat has to attack. But now, especially if you got Mimic, the downside of Copycat not attacking is you cast 2 spells off the 9th Book, and if it attacks, you're casting 6 spells. That's kind of crazy. Are Kings Royals? There is no King tag right now. I imagine Prince Arthur is just becoming a royal because it was a prince. But there is no King tag. Fireball to 3 damage. Can you... Can you chill? We're not there yet. Baba Yaga. Evil Monster Mage. Huh. So it scales off of Aeon now. Baba Yaga plus Aeon can do a... Does the Merlin's Hat impression while not forcing you to play a bad unit? Because now it's scaling off the Aeon as well. Also just generally a buff to 9th Book. Same thing with Bearstein. Yeah, this is the new patch notes. Theoretically, they go live tomorrow. I don't think this has any impact other than being a little better for 9th Book, right? Bearstein doesn't really care about getting Aeon attack. It's the only thing Mage matters for, I think, at 9th Book. Grimsoul's gone again. So Trophy Hunter is back to not being a hero even more than it already isn't. Sort of a big deal for the current Slay comps as well. Though I think while like a lot of the ideal late game Slay comps don't want to play Grimsoul because they just want to have like a giant Slay unit in slot 1 that gets to slay every combat. It does make some of the more middling Slay comps, which are perfectly capable of winning lobbies, of just like a big Lance, Grimsoul in 1, upgraded Yorm in 3. Makes those a lot worse. It's a lot harder to get into Slay without Grimsoul, because now it's sort of a prerequisite to have a giant Slay unit in order to grow your Yorm. Yeah, your Lancelot's going to be growing less per combat because it's not getting the extra Slay procs from the Grimsoul. Yeah, it's a lot harder to do those Omega Lance things. I don't know. I haven't been in Slay much over the last couple days. but I know earlier in the patch, Slay was one of my most winning comps. I don't really know what changed. I think I've just been trying to be open to different things. Like, very early in the patch, I wasn't in Good Boy as much. But now, like, Good Boy's taken the place of secondary comp in a lot of cases. Like, you want to be open to not just trees going into 6. Early in the patch, I was trying to be open to Slay and trees going into 5 and 6. Now it's usually, like, Good Boy or trees. Pumpkin or trees. Just, like, go out in 3rd with monsters or trees, just a little bit more stable. Where, like, Slay is kind of liable to just, like, bustering out at 7th. You just, like, miss your first couple Slays and die. Yep, cut as remove. Grimsoul will no longer exist. Now this pair of changes is kind of interesting. So Burning Tree to level 6, 420. And Robin Wood to level 5, 710. So there's no more specking on Burning Trees, hoping that you hit your Ashwood on 6. There's now fewer Burning Trees. A lot of the time right now, when you're going into trees, you want to just be buying the Ashwood, because it's kind of hard to justify picking up Burning Trees unless you're way ahead, because they're so bad on board until you get the Ashwood. Unless you've got, like, Sting plus Sporko, or something similar. It can be hard to justify spending the 5 gold on something that's not improving your board. Moving it to 6 just enforces that order. Though at the same time does make speculating on Ashwood Elms worse, because now you have to find a level 6 unit instead of a level 5 unit, both more expensive, and there being fewer of them makes it harder to find the Burning Tree after you buy the Elm. It's weird. I think this is less important for the curve, and more important just in terms of like how you can speculate into the comp. Now this is a safer thing to pick up on 5 than Burning Tree. It's way more likely to actually improve your board when you buy it. Just being a 7-10 ranged unit that's giving a 14 attack swing on the board. And it's also not just good for trees. This also is probably the main unit that Good Boy is going to be looking to buy on 5. Like, even this patch, Robin Woods are pretty important for Good Boy, just as a way to quickly get the Good Boy attack if you don't have a Sporko. And they're on the same tier there. Hey, wasted Saturday. Kinda reminds you of SF being at 6. Kinda. Yeah, I kinda like this change. I'm interested to see how level 5 Robin Wood plays out. Double E becomes a 2-2. That's fair. Double E's kinda shit. Yeah, I don't know. Not much to say about this. If you pick it up with a Baby Root, you have a 2-8. It's a lot better than a 1-8. 2-2 is also probably a little more flavorful than 1-1. You know, because there's 2 of them. Slightly less punishing, you get it from a random effect. Yeah, it's miserable to get double E off of Polywoggle right now. Ogre Princess to a 4-2. So now it's bigger than Lucky. Yeah. Cool, I guess. Slays a little bit better. Friendly Spirit gains a point of toughness. I guess? I don't know. I'd buy Friendly Spirit a good amount. Makes it slightly more likely to be able to attack if you've got like Oni King. It's still dying to everything realistically. I don't know. It's like a 2 toughness buff, because also the thing that it lands on gets an extra point of toughness. I guess Friendly Spirit is underperforming in their stats. I don't know. I did not know there was an untapped bot. 3 big pigs at level 5, 9/9 summons 3/3s. Okay, what are all the animal changes? So Time Flies moves to 4. And then 3 big pigs moves to 5. Baby Bear is still on 5. Now there is an animal summon to pick up on 4 though, where after they removed Sheep in Wolf's Clothing, there wasn't. They should rename it to 3 medium pigs. True. 9/9 summons 3/3s. So in terms of raw stats, that's 18 stats on level 5. If you just like put it in slot 5. Matches up poorly into like Siren. Or whatever that matters. Because it doesn't kill the Siren either. I don't know, being able to buy Pigs, Baby Bear, Time Flies all before Bearsteins are available. And like Animal Summons is a pretty okay comp to be on for level 5, especially if you've got like Sporkos lying around. Now instead of trying to find Summons and the Bearstein on 6, you just need to find the Bearsteins. I could see a pretty common pattern being like Vulture on 4, pick up Big Pigs and Time Flies and stuff on 5, going into 6, be open to Bearstein or just like some full pivot into trees. Maybe you're picking up like Robin Woods along the way. Be sort of open to Good Boy. Maybe instead of Vulture, it's Hippo. That way you have more good units. Robin Wood, Baby Bear, and Hippo are all good units. Yeah, so Cupid is evil. And with Burning Tree moving to 6, you're not summoning 0/20s out of your pumpkins anymore. So not only is there another scam unit in the pumpkin, there is one fewer brick on the level 5 pumpkin summons. Also, 3 Big Pigs is kind of nutty to summon off a pumpkin. Wait, so they removed 1 bad hit and added 2 good hits? Interesting. I guess this is only a good hit if it gets to attack, but since it's level 5, it can summon into the pumpkin slot. And then it's pretty great. Huh. We talked about Time Flies, I'm talking about Big Pigs. Fireball to 3 damage. So this still kills Sporko and Lady of the Lake, assuming they don't have any buffs. It makes it easier to buff them out of range, I guess. Just have to give them 1 health if you got like a power orb. Your Sporkos and ladies now survive Fireball. Fireball pretty sad now. Yeah, I don't know. Fireball was probably a little too good for 1 gold. That's it. I don't know if we really need to be indirectly buffing Sporko with Lady of the Lake. Those units are pretty nuts. So the supports have gotten buffed with Fireball being harder to kill them. There are better summons at lower gold costs. These both play very well with Sporko. And like Baba Yaga becoming a mage makes it easier to speculate on. Slightly. Like Baba Zayans could be a thing. Hard for combat spells to be too good because the opportunity cost. Well, that's the point. The opportunity cost is really low. It's 1 gold. If you're not casting a spell anyway, you just like roll down, you're at like 3 gold. You just cast the Fireball because you don't have anything better to do with the gold. It's just going to be another roll. Kills Spellweavers as well. What are other 3 health things that commonly die to Fireball? How do I feel about Grimsoul being cut? It's whatever. I don't care too much one way or the other. We did talk about it a bit earlier. I'm more interested in like how it's going to affect the game more than like whether I think it's a good or bad change. Just doesn't seem productive to talk about. The interesting thing is what does this mean, not do I like it or not. Cost of not casting. Well, that's the thing, the buffs aren't usually worth casting anyway. The buffs are kind of gold inefficient. Where like Fireball winning a combat is pretty huge. You play against better players, the value of combat spells goes up. I don't know how much of it is that, and how much of it is if the rest of the lobby is all playing combat spells, you're kind of forced to as well. And higher level lobbies just tend to play more combat spells. I don't know if that's a metagame thing, or if it's inherent to the lobbies being stronger. Because if nobody else is buying combat spells, you don't really want to be the only one buying them, because you're just throwing gold into the ether. Like, sure, you might win a couple combats, but those couple of combats aren't going to win you the lobby, where everyone else in the lobby having the extra gold because they haven't been casting combat spells adds up and punishes you. Everyone else was avoid. Yeah, exactly. You get a health lead, but the health lead matters less than the snowbally gold lead. But if everyone's casting combat spells in the lobby, then you're going to just die for not casting combat spells. Where one person casting them doesn't make much of a difference in terms of the overall speed of the lobby. If you're low on health, combat spells become more worth it. Depends if you're playing for placement or playing to win. Generally, yeah, because it's more important to win the combat, because if you lose a combat, you're just dead. But at the same time, if you could use that gold to improve your board, then you'd probably rather improve your board. Improving your board is permanent. Combat spells are temporary. Mimic moving to level 6 makes a lot of sense. This was kind of a weird treasure on 5. Mimic almost feels like a level 7, just in terms of how wacky it is. The power level probably doesn't match a level 7, but Mimic's situationally the best 5. I'm sure it's situationally the best 6 as well. It's just going to be less often that you're going to want to take it on 6 than you want to take it on 5. Like, even Mimic with, like, Drax Saber is kind of insane. A big downside of Drax Saber is you gotta, like, kind of position weird for it. You gotta be in a comp that's killing your opponent's units early. Whereas if you're already doing that, the Mimic is just kind of free-rolling on top of that value that you're already committed to. It makes the best treasure depending on situation, because it gives you basically 2 treasures. Yeah, exactly. Mimic with, like, Singing Sword plus something is not only another Singing Sword, but also that other something. Well, speaking of Singing Sword, no longer doubles. I'll be honest, I have no idea what the implications of this are. This is almost always a huge nerf, right? But for, like, Pumpkin, this is probably a buff. You don't have to play Grumblegore to make Singing Sword worthwhile. But it's definitely a nerf for trees. Probably a nerf for Bearstein. It can be a buff for Good Boy. Usually not, but I guess it could be. It's a nerf for animals. It's sometimes a nerf for animals. It's usually a nerf for animals. It does make it less important to have a support. It becomes easier to have, like, Echowood, Bearstein in the back row with the Singing Sword versus the old one. Seems very strong if you get it early. I mean, it's probably a little better than current Singing Sword if you get it early. But worse late. I guess that's fine. Like, right now, Singing Sword's pretty sad to get early. In terms of tempo, it's one of the worst level 6s to cheat out. But for early stage Good Boy... yeah... I don't know, early stage Good Boy has a lot of level 6 treasures that it's already happy to have, right? You can have Arc, you can have Spear of Achilles... It might just be those, actually. But, like, I don't know. With old Singing Sword, as long as you had some attack on the Good Boy, you were happy. The Singing Sword also double dipped with the Good Boy buff, right? Like, the Good Boy would die, and not only would the Good Boy have double its attack, but the doubled attack would get doubled on all your front row stuff. Where there's no double dipping here. Like, that was the thing that made Singing Sword so strong, was all the double dipping effects. Yeah, I don't know. Sword was the best level 6 in most cases, so it makes sense that there would be a change. It's very commonly the only level 6 you're looking for when you're tripling something. When you're in, like, Bearstein or Pumpkin or some comp just looking to get more attack. It's much better than, like, the Spear of Achilles that is probably the second place choice. Embiggening Stone is now playable. after level 4.2. Yeah, this change is a long time coming. Stone is the nuts when you treasure map into it early, and one of the worst treasures if you're getting it on curve. It's another good boy treasure too. Though I guess you have to have the stone before the good boys, which can be hard. But yeah, this is probably even better to cheat out now, actually. 10 versus 15, but it scales into the late game. Instead of, like, needing to polywoggle to get high-level units. Huh. Oh. Definitely interested in playing with these. I feel like this still won't be worth picking up on curve a lot of the time, but it'll definitely be worth it more often. 10-10 Sport. Oh, yeah, this going on the level 4 supports is huge. You don't have to buy Shadow Assassins and Spellweavers to get ranged units anymore. Yeah, this is probably just a huge buff to Awakening Stone at every stage of the game. Even getting it on level 4. Huh. New cards. Water Wraith. Level 3, Evil Monster, 3/4. When a character next to me dies, I gain 1/1 permanently. Level 3, eh? So if you have a black cat in 1, this immediately becomes a 5/6, assuming it doesn't get sniped. Yeah, this was a 2/2 in 99, right? It felt pretty lukewarm. This is probably very good. It's not quite guaranteed to grow by 2 per turn. It's a monster as well. Scales off Monster Manual. Sets up for your Oni Kings later. Decent for pants. Definitely decent for pants, yeah. You can throw the Wormroot on it too. It's weird, this seems so much better than Vampire. Not that, like, that's a bad thing. Vampire is one of the worst units in the game, but this just seems better than Vampire. It's probably easier to get multiple procs out of it in a combat, easier to get a single proc out of in a combat, has the same tags. I guess doesn't slay, but I don't know, there's no Grimsoul. Who cares that it doesn't slay? Some treasures. Can't bad moon it. Don't get bounty board value. Wraiths have targets on their heads. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've certainly played enough stags to feel like this is kind of sketchy, but it's sort of like a stag that's in 1, because you just need your first unit to attack for it to be permanently growing. Usually. It does kind of suck that you're gonna want to mim this, because you have cat in 1, so you want your mim in 5. Where ideally you want to mim, like, another cat, or a slay unit or something. You can always put this in 3. Cat in 2. Good with LD, time flies. Yeah, yeah. You can LD in 3. Summon unit in 1. Stag on either side of it. This is how you enable stag in 3. Because your opponent will never attack the stag, because then it would scale the Water Wraith. Guaranteed position 3 stag attack. Amazing. Cursed Throne. Level 3 treasure. Your royals are also monsters. And have slay +1/+1 permanently. What the fuck is this? Sure shot scaling, I guess? Is it level 3 treasure? Huh. Scales Juliet? Yeah, here you go. Your royals are also monsters. But Oni King is not a royal, right? Yeah. They're changing Oni King to Oni Tyrant. So it's not like you can just throw Oni King into your Arthur comp easily. Oni King's not triggering your Court Wizards. Also, Court Wizard is not a royal. Seems fun on Tiger. Yeah. Just get you a good amount of scaling on Tiger. This plus bounty board on Tiger. Because it's 2 instances of Slay, right? So you get 4 gold per Slay. That's pretty funny. He gets a weird pivot from Royals into Monsters. The problem with that is, like, why would you want to do that? Why would you want to pivot from your mid-game comp into another mid-game comp? They can pivot Royals into Yormslay, I guess? Doesn't make them evil either. Yeah. Royals into Lance, into General Slay. Baba can benefit from an Oni Tyrant. Yeah. So you've got like Sure Shot in 1, Baba in 5, Oni King in 7, Romeo in 6, Juliet somewhere on the front. Your ranged units are growing each turn. Juliet grows. Then you're open to either Good Boy or Yorm going into 6. That's sort of cool. You will never take this level 3 treasure? I don't know about that. That's a bit much. It seems very situational. I do wonder why this is 3 instead of 2. It feels way more similar to like a monster manual than a Bad Moon. Mary will take it. Yeah, probably. Just like another way to scale your Royals. Like, this doesn't make you want to go Royals, but if you're in Royals, it's probably better than most of the things in the level 3 pool. Harder to find Hatball. This is a nerf to Peter Pants. That is true. Hermes Magic Beans. Level 4 0 cost spell. You attack first this brawl. Guess it's fine. It's 0 cost. I don't know. I don't like how janky this seems. If like... Because they just like cancel each other out if your opponent casts it too. But the opportunity cost is low enough that it's kind of whatever. Just another 0 cost to like get Cinder progress late. Sort of helps Slay, I suppose. Yeah, you coin flip versus Sadrak, you coin flip against opposing Hermes boots. Think of first attack as like a priority counter. Everything by default has 0, and then every instance of you attack first increments the counter by 1. Some comps really want the first attack, but they're out for them. Yeah. I guess. I'll probably cast this more often than I cast Falling Stars, so I guess that's a point in favor of it. Like, if you haven't cast your spell yet, and this is in your shop on 0 gold, you always cast this, where you only sometimes cast Falling Stars. Blaze of Glory, level 4, 2 cost spell. Give a character plus 10 attack this brawl. I guess? Is this just to dilute the spell pool? Like, it's fine. There's times you'll cast it. Makes it harder to find XP on level 4 with there being 2 more level 4 spells in the pool. I think this was in 99. Buff for Hatball. Yeah, I guess. Adding 1 untargeted and 1 targeted is probably good for Hatball. Pants can't get it, so it doesn't matter for that. Lance spell. Yeah, okay, that's pretty big. It's even easier to proc a Lance now. That said, it's a little less good to proc Lance with Mimic at 6. probably still good enough that you're doing it. Good for Good Boy. Good Boy wants permanent stats. Like, there's times you'll cast it on Good Boy for sure, but you're often going to be happier casting, like, a Blazing Palm. Yeah, late game woggling. Feels pretty bad to, like, spend 4 gold on this plus Woggle, and then get your Woggle sniped. It's not even like your Woggle getting Lightning Dragoned when you have Grimsoul plus Woggle, because you can't just do it again next turn. Huh. Yeah, I don't know. Doesn't seem like that big of a deal. Seems like a nice shakeup. Yeah. This is a weird change. I'm not sure how this is going to play out with Ashwood Elm. This seems sweet, not only for pivoting into trees, but also just being open to Good Boy. I think those are the main 2 comps that are interested in Robinwood. This might also just be like a fine tempo pickup in general, where you just need to buy something. 7-10 ranged unit with a 14 attack swing, possibly buffs your Sporko up. Leaves you open to a bunch of stuff. Robinwood definitely feels more like a transition piece than a Keystone unit, so it makes a lot of sense at 5. This probably doesn't matter much. This doesn't matter much. Doesn't light a fireball anymore. I don't know. Small change. The summon changes, I'm very interested in playing with. I think this opens up some new mid-game possibilities for sure. As far as late-game Bearstein, though, it probably got worse. It's easier to get into, but it was already pretty easy to get into. But now you don't have the out of Singing Sword to just go over the top of everything. But it's even stronger in the mid-game. I think those are the biggest... Oh, Grimsoul leaving is huge for making Slay worse. Becomes much harder to be in Slay. And it's already... Slay is probably the hardest good comp to be in right now. Like, it's easier to be in Good Boy, it's easier to be in Trees. Slay kind of needs a lot to go right. And now it's even harder for things to go right. This was, like, a big way. Even if you're not keeping the Grimsoul in all game, this is how you get, like, your Lance to transform and become big enough. Or if you're buying Yorms on 6, this is how you grow your Yorm on 6. You like have slot 1 Grimsoul, slot 2 Yorm, slot 3 Yorm, slot 6 Baba. Now you have to have an actual Slay unit to grow your Yorms. Yeah, big buffs to Pumpkin for sure. Both Cupid and 3 Big Pigs are great there, as well as removing Burning Tree from the pool. Yeah, cool patch. The Mage Changes are pretty cool. Baba Yaga and Copycat being mages has some implications for... I don't know. The problem is, like, 9th book is a level 6 treasure. You're never preparing to be in 9th book of Merlin, right? So, like, map into 9th book is pretty sick. That comp becomes even sweeter going into the late game, because you can just buy Copycats on curve and you're happy. But, like... If you're getting the 9th book on curve, I don't know how much this helps. It's still gonna feel bad to have to buy... I guess if you've got Spellweavers already, maybe. Very interested in seeing how mages play out. It seems like a lot of the changes kind of rely on 9th book. Though Copycat getting buffed by Aeon is also kind of nice. It's already got a lot of health. I don't know. Change the language on Baba to only multiply stacks from actual attacks. The same effect as cutting Grimsoul, but keep all the niche plays from Grimsoul. Sure, but I don't know if you want to change the language on a card in a way that only applies to one card. That's kind of bad design. You're sort of making the rules around the card a little too arcane. Mimic 6 is huge. I don't know if it's huge in terms of, like, metagame impact. It's huge that the best level 5 treasure is no longer level 5, but there aren't really comps that need a Mimic. Mimic's just like something that makes your good comp even better. Just flip Lonely Princes. People in chat were saying it couldn't on beta, but I don't know if that was intended. Don't know if another here means non-Lonely Prince Royal. We'll have to see when it goes live. Pretty big deal if it does. Okay. Let's play another game.